Welcome to Popyak. I'm Momo, and this is A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This one has more references to salt beef than the last episode, which is called Salted Beef, which I think is very funny. We're going to do a twofer this time so that we can catch up and go straight into episode 5. So first up is episode 3. Egg tries to teach Thunder how to be a good horse for Dunk, because Dunk is a lot heavier than the old man Arlen was. The horse also has to get used to Egg as the squire running around and passing him things instead of Dunk, who's a lot taller, has more reach. The horse doesn't have to go all the way to Dunk for Dunk to hand Sir Arlen the lance. Egg and him do some really good training. We also learn about the craziest motherfucker at the games and how he lost his eye, which was wild to watch that happen. It was kind of like, again, I'm gonna mention wrestling. I'm so sorry. It's always wrestling with me. There's a wrestler called Vader who once got his eye knocked out of the socket during a match, and I believe he just pushed it back into his head, which is insane, and he kept wrestling. Like, yes, it's a performance art, but it's still a physical one. The crazy one-eyed dude just assumes that Egg stole the horse. Egg's like, nah, I'm a squire, trying to get this horse ready. What follows in this episode is one of my favorite things to watch, and that's just characters hanging out and just existing as their characters. And this is something that anime could actually take some time to learn how to do. I think filler arcs in anime could be so interesting if you just let the characters be characters. Like, there's a reason why people like the beach episode. That's the only time where that seems to happen. Nothing is happening. You've wasted 22 minutes of my life. Usually with those animation tricks where nothing is happening, where they're just kind of showing a looped animation of like a stream or people crossing the street. For some reason, this is the best hanging out I've ever seen. The chemistry of these characters, and not just these characters, but everybody at this camp that we get to know, the fact that we do get to know them the way we do in this episode makes the next episode even more fruitful. You get this like 10 minutes, a tight 10 minutes of these guys hanging out and stuff, but none of their dialogue is wasted dialogue. You learn something about them every time they say something. The scene where Dunk teaches Egg to sew after he felt bad about being mean to him. And also because he felt bad about being mean to him, he's like, hey, let's go to town and get some actual food. We're not just gonna eat salt. Because you really don't sound like you fucking want it, and you've been working hard. And they have this amazing banter that's just top-notch writing. It's like watching Seinfeld in that they talk about nothing and make it entertaining. And I think that's the thing that anime is missing from its filler episodes and stuff. Character building for the next episode, which gets a little bit more crazy. Egg and Dunk banter about, in the future, Egg said he's going to marry the second most beautiful lord's daughter, and that Dunk can get the most beautiful one. And I thought that was the sweetest, most adorable exchange. Their relationship is so sibling coded, like immediately they hit it off. As a person who has siblings, this is it. This is the relationship. It's great. I love watching this, especially at the beginning when he's like, I'd rather eat the horse than salt beef. And he's like, you'll eat my fist if you don't do what I'm telling you. I love this so much. And Egg is such a little guy, which, Dunk tells him, don't worry, you'll grow. But Egg is such a little guy. I just feel better with Dunk looking out for him, This world is messed up. And then they decided, hey, you know what? Let's finish up our day at the mall with some entertainment. Let's go to the movies. And they go to see some jousting. Arion shows up again, even though he wasn't supposed to be there. And his armor is really cool. Like, usually this is what you're going to get when you get a Targaryen. They're going to have dope-ass dragon-based armor. It's just going to happen. Daenerys looked pretty dope in some dragon armor. But, like, the full dragon plate, Matt Smith's character, Aemond, in House of the Dragon, rocks the hell out of some dragon-based armor. And I love seeing different armor like this. The best thing about tournaments is the crazy-ass helmets that they wear, and how they will come out with an entire standard on top of their head. It's kind of like, going to church on Sunday and seeing everybody's crazy hats. And his horse also has a really cool dragon getup. I loved it. I thought this was fantastic. He's really living the gimmick. And I mean, yeah, if you're in the royal family, of course you're going to have the dopest armor at the tournament. He doesn't need to try as hard as he's trying because you're already the prince, but you don't got to posture so much. So Arion, in his joust, straight up kills the dude's horse, and the horse falls on him and breaks his leg, which is gruesome. They come out, have to put the horse out of its misery, the whole thing, it's awful. A riot breaks out. Dunk's like, we have to get out of here, and he feels really bad that Egg had to see that. He also laments that it's the kind of thing Egg is gonna have to get used to in this line of work, which, ooh, gruesome. I might actually check out the behind the scenes for this episode to see how they pulled that off, because that was wild. Also, the crowd hates Arion's fucking guts. Good. I'm glad I'm not alone here. The fact that the crowd hates him, that's a bad sign. You're supposed to be trying to curry favor with the people so they don't want to start a revolt. And this guy is just being a cruel prick. He's not even king yet, and we're like already seeing reasons why he shouldn't be. You're making it very easy for the king to be like, actually, you know what? The line in Succession should skip that guy, because he's insane. Especially with as many Targaryens there seem to be milling about. Also, Egg mentions, hey, you know what? Arion killed that horse on purpose because he's a monster. Yeah, he did. He aimed his lance on purpose. This is not even just Egg knowing him. Egg was watching him aim it. And Egg seems to be very interested in jousting and stuff. Like, this is what he wants to do for a living. So he seems to be very into it. He would know if he's trying to kill that horse. Then there's a fantastic scene of everybody singing about a sex worker who was really good with her hands. Egg and Dunk have like a philosophical conversation. It reminds me of that image of the philosophers in ancient Greece walking and talking. That's what this sounded like, and the banter was so good. This is at the pub with your brother. And I love that Egg takes from the story because he has enough education to know about media literacy because he's had tutors. So he understands what to extrapolate from a work of fiction. He's telling that to Dunk, who's never even thought about this kind of thing before, so they're eagerly having this conversation, because also, I bet the old man wasn't one for having conversations, especially not about philosophical stuff. Usually whenever Dunk would talk to him, he'd spit in the ground. There's a lot of spitting in this show to show displeasure. There's a lot of, as a customary, I'm pissed off, fuck you, I'm gonna spit on the ground first. They meet a fortune teller who says that one day Dunk's gonna be rich. Dunk's like, oh yeah, this is just fortune cookie bullshit. Egg, though, the lady like looks at him, her pupils dilate, and the fucking sky turns dark, and she's like, you boy, you will be king one day. Then you'll die in flames, and your death will be rejoiced by all who know you. The birds start chirping again, and the sun comes out from behind the cloud. Egg is over here visibly shaking, and Dunk's like, that's just fortune cookie bullshit. Egg is shaking. He's like, what the hell is that about? Also, it will break my heart if I will hate Egg. Do not want the evil heel turn of Egg. I love him too much. Maybe it's because, to me, he reminds me of Aang from Avatar, who was also very innocent and baby and couldn't hurt a fly. And I'm like, I don't want anything bad to happen to him. I don't want him to become an evil, horrible monster like his shitty brother. But Dunk's like, come on, you're not going to become a king. Come on. King of what? The squires? But if Dunk actually used that media literacy he just learned in the tent, he'd probably put two and two together and go, wait a minute, is something gonna happen? But he doesn't believe in the fortune teller anyway. But like, to me, if it wasn't about like becoming king of the Seven Kingdoms, because Dunk doesn't know, you just kind of assume, if your intelligence stat was higher than Dunk, you would just kind of assume that he might become the king of what? What is he aspiring to be? A knight. And everybody will hate him. Kind of rule of Tui, you know? Like, you think, is my student going to kill me to become the master? And then everybody will hate him for it? I don't know, that's what I read from it anyway. Then the puppet show happens, and no, not the puppet show, not yet. Dunk is hanging out with the Apple Boy, and Apple Boy crashes out about the Targaryens, and Dunk's like, nah, I'm not gonna say shit. Like, you're a noble, you can say all that, but I'm just a lowborn, and I'm not gonna get caught dead by anybody saying anything. You out of your mind? And he just sits there and listens like, oh, all right, man. Sure, dog. He doesn't hate all the Targaryens. I mean, there was one that was nice to him. Arion not only killed that horse on purpose, but was shitty as fuck to you and was like, park my car. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he's aware that there are good and bad Targaryens, but because of that, not all Targaryens are pieces of shit. Don't generalize. But also, I can't say anything about this at all. You outrank me. Everybody else here outranks me. Even Egg outranks me, and I don't even know that yet. So the puppet show's happening, and there's a really cool story being told where they defeat a dragon, which, you know, this is a Dornish puppet show, and they're telling Dornish puppet stories. Dorne just got conquered. Dorne and and dragons usually not friends, because I believe that's how Dorne got assimilated into the Seven Kingdoms, is that, and I might be remembering this wrong, but King Aegon, the first one of his sister wives went over there with the dragon and was like, hey, yield. And they were like, okay. At least that's what I think happened. I know that happened in the north. I'm not quite sure about that. Correct me, and feel free to correct me. My socials are in the doobly-doo, or leave a comment. And they're just telling a story about a legend of a guy who goes and slays one with a dope-ass mirror shield too, which is pretty cool. I wonder if George Martin was playing Zelda and was like, damn, that's such a good-ass idea. I gotta take at least that. And I'm gonna give it to the equivalent of the Gerudo in my story. I bet George Martin also is a true G, and when he goes to play Zelda on the Nintendo 64, he blows the cartridge out by, blowing it sideways. I can just see George Martin doing that. That's not great. That's not good. Aerion sees the dragon gets killed in this folktale being portrayed in this Dornish puppet show, and he doesn't care that this is a different culture from his. He's just pissed off that you cannot be going around showing dragons getting hurt. That is a dog whistle to Aerion, and he's like, well, we gotta teach everybody here a lesson. And he breaks poor Tansel Tusal's finger and sends her off to be probably executed. We don't really hear what happens to her. The only thing we know about her from here is that she gives the blacksmith the commission shield to give to Dunk. But Tansel gets her finger broken. Dunk goes over and beats the shit out of Aerion with the old 1-2 combination of punch a guy out and stomp him in the face. This is something I advocate for. That's the prince. Dunk, you can't, this is not just a street fight, Dunk. He's in the line of secession. You just assaulted him. His issue is, hey, I'm a knight and I am charged with defending the innocent. This piece of shit monster attacked an innocent and I was defending her. Our crimes cancel out. But because he is a prince and he is of an upper class, he's able to just kind of get away with his crimes. And listen, that never changes. Egg and Dunk have a falling out that's just really heartbreaking. And Dunk is really pissed because Egg lied to him. And all the stuff that Dunk has been involved in with Egg, that he kidnapped Egg and he beat up the other prince, like he is in deep crap. And he was just coming out here to try to get a job. He doesn't even have any prospects. Like, this dude was already fucked. He was already gambling with his life, but now it's over. He's in jail. He's probably going to be executed. So he's pissed at Egg. Their interaction is so sad. I do like that Egg at least respects Crown Prince, even though that's not his dad, it's his uncle. He understands the, hey, but his status, he understands his place in the world. And his place is under the Crown Prince. He's very obedient. You could tell when the mood changes when Maekor tells Egg, hey, get our boy Dunk a drink and don't spill it on him. So he's treating him with reverence. And Dunk, I think, understands this as well. And loosens up a bit with Maekor, who's pretty nice to him. Who was nice to him from the beginning and continues to be nice to him. He's like, look, you're a good dude. I remember your guy that was your knight. You took care of Egg. Egg is vouching for you, even though the situation is fucked. Like, Maekor's willing to sit and listen to the situation. And it was double confirmed by Dunk. Dunk is not telling him anything different than Egg has told him. Maekor's like, okay, I have a way to get you out of this because I like you. I'm sentimental. You want to do trial by combat. That's what you want. And then you can beat Aerion in a fight. And if you win, you win. And if you lose, you die. Either way you win. So he's like, fuck it, trial by combat. Aerion's like, I want a trial of the 7. He does the second breakfast pursed lips situation. Like, I want a trial of the 7. And his dad's like, that's stupid. All this is stupid. You're stupid. Why are we doing this? Chops Targaryens, the way he behaves is so funny. He's so anxious. He knows that his kids are the worst and he's exasperated by them. I love Chop Targaryen. He's the best. He reminds me of Lion that was voiced by Andy Dick in The Lion King 2. Just a bundle of nerves. So Trial of the 7 is this really cool trial by combat that's an Andal tradition, and we are in Andal lands. It's basically you gotta find 7 dudes by sunrise. It's a 7-on-7. This is an incredibly dangerous situation. You can die here. That's what the Granny Smith apple boy was talking about in the tent when Dunk goes and tries to recruit his Avengers, which is what this feels like. This feels like the Avengers. It feels like that, and then it also feels like pro wrestling, which I'm sorry, once again, the wrestling. Dunk goes around recruiting people. It's kind of like watching somebody going like, oh man, I have to fight, the NWO, and I'm looking for people to be on my side so that I don't have to face them alone. So you go through the locker room, you go, will you fight with me? And then you get a team of people, and then you get a heel turn with fucking Elder Apple going, actually, Aerion said he's going to make me a lord, and I get to move up in my station. And these 2 episodes are all about that, where you are and where you want to go, and the class system. And the class divide. I get a chance to go back to the start and collect my $200. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Fuck oaths. And he's like, listen, people have done it for less. Deuces. Dunk cuts a promo on the crowd, where he's like, anybody with guts, come down here and fight with me. And one dude gets up, who has a name. They named him, when he stood up, somebody was, oh my god, it's him. And then he just farts so loud that everybody can hear him. But it was also kind of quiet because everybody was listening to see what he'd say. And you do take that opportunity to fart, just like where we had the one guy say that the Duke here like fucks his sheep when everything got super quiet. That's such a thing that happens in pro wrestling all the time. One of my favorites is one of the wrestlers was on top of the ropes posing. A dude from the audience just yells, "You're beautiful," when it was nice and quiet. It's very sweet and wonderful. And then at the last moment, glass breaks. JR's going nuts. By God, is that Prince Makor? Prince Makor coming to the rescue going, I will fight for him because I believe his cause is just. Also, I'm the crown prince and this puts the line of succession in grave danger, but I'm doing it for you, bro. And we've already seen Arion kill one horse to break a dude's leg and fuck everything up. And yeah, he had to pay a fine. A fine isn't a punishment for somebody who has tons and tons of money. It's pretty much supposed to hit him in the honor, and Arion does not have that. Makor rides out with his horse, pyro goes off, everybody's shocked, and I miss so much weekly television. We don't have time to digest anything, and we don't have time to ruminate on something before we go to the next episode, which is why I really don't like binging things. I like to give it some time to breathe, give my brain some time to take it in, for me to have those eureka shower moments. And I can't have that if the next episode drops. Oh, okay, I get the answers to those questions immediately. I don't know. The instant gratification, maybe we shouldn't have that as much. I don't know. Dunk also got his new shield, and he was kind of sad about the fact that it looks depressing, but it was the most detailed shield I've ever seen. Like, this is supposed to be your heraldry. This looks incredible. I'm sure the person who, if you become a lord, has to mass produce these flags by hand is going to be furious because there's a lot of detail in this. I'm like amazed at this art, and he's just like, so it looks like a bad omen. My brother, you decided to get the sunset and the place where you buried your mentor. The only joyous thing about it is the damn shooting star, and even that's an ill omen to some. But I like it. It looks incredible. It's like a whole scene on his shield. Sansel Tutal, I'm very sad that her drawing days might be behind her if that was her drawing hand, because, oh wow, she was so talented. And I hope that if she's okay, Dunk marries her so she doesn't have to worry about working. Because if he's a lord, she's pretty much taken care of, right? She's a lady at that point. The blacksmith pretty much gives Dunk the knighting that he was missing. He gets like, hey, you remember your oath, right? And they say it together, and it just feels like he's being knighted. And juxtapose that with the scene where the young apple was like, fuck you to his cousin. Like, I'm getting knighted right now, even though I don't have much experience. I'm kind of shit, actually. Fuck it. You need an extra body. I'm here as a sacrifice, essentially. This knighting that he gets reminds me of also Your Last Rite. He doesn't have experience. He's probably dead. Also, this is the most epic knighting I've ever seen. The camera work on this was incredible. Looking at this season of Game of Thrones, I'm like, man, I miss when movies would look like this. When they'd look real. Like, there's a scene where Egg is whittling a stick in a tree, singing limericks, and Dunk walks over to him, and there's just like flies everywhere. Dunk has a hole in his shirt, and there's dirt all over Egg's face, and you're just like, why don't movies look like this anymore? And it's because everything is super polished to a sheen. That was one of the big things that bummed me out in the Avengers. Black Widow does all this crazy ass shit and her lipstick is not even smudged. She has a full face of makeup on. After being kidnapped by the baddies and held hostage, her makeup is still on fleek. Stuff like that. I'm not saying I want super tons of realism, but even the way they shoot things is not real anymore. There was a movie I was watching recently where somebody like fumbled putting something in their wallet in the take. That would never happen today, but it was so charming to me in the moment because that's humanity, that's real life. Give me a little bit of flaws, please. I'm begging you. This perfection there's another thing that's probably not very good for us, seeing everything be so perfect all the time. Speaking of the Avengers, Hemsworth said that he hates doing the dieting and stuff. Same thing with Hugh Jackman, same thing. They hate the working out and the dieting. They hate it. It's miserable. They want to step away from those rules because it's intense on their bodies. I'd like to see some imperfections sometimes, please, thanks. Be like Duncan Egg. Go somewhere where there's lots of people, get social, do some banter. I love you.